What's up gamers, DreamcastGuy here, talking today about Devil May Cry 5, a game that is absolutely amazing, but is surprisingly actually offending some people on the internet, and for a reason I never ever could have predicted. So just for full clarity, I do think that 99% of the people who bought this game are completely loving it. It's got new characters, bigger levels, faster combos, and just so much furious boss fights that there is a lot in this game to really sink your teeth into and enjoy. But there seems to be this weird contingent, a very small percentage of the ultra-hardcore fanbase that is actually obsessively upset about the fact that this game has some very easy mode options. Now let me just say, they're not completely wrong. This is definitely the easiest game in the entire saga. If you've done something like me, I've actually played through all of the Devil May Cry games. Never on the ultra hardest difficulty, but they are fun. There's something that's just kind of cool to pick up and play, get into, drop some combos, maybe fight a couple enemies, and then move on. They're things that are very, very interesting, but I never really got obsessed with them. They're just kind of the things that I've beat once and moved on. But there are some people who actually try to go in these games and finish them on every difficulty and every style just to prove that they can, and I actually respect the fact that they are so skilled. But right now, something very different is happening in the world of gaming. I actually like to call it the gaming renaissance, because it seems like a lot of developers and studios are trying to make games more accessible, but also a lot more different. I mean, just look at games like The Witcher 3 or a weird sports title like Rocket League. These are things that are trying to challenge you, but instead of just being hard, they're trying to challenge your ideas of gaming. They want to try and make it where you have to try and consider what you're doing in a different light. Now, personally, I think that this stuff is great. It's really cool to just basically, well, see a different side of gaming as I grow older. But some people definitely seem a little bit upset about the fact that some games are simpler. I mean, I just want to say this, not every game nowadays is getting harder. Some definitely are. Things like Neo or of course the Dark Souls trilogy, these are games that absolutely revel in the concept of killing you over and over again and rewarding your skill to the highest degree. Whereas Devil May Cry, I think that they were trying to make this a little bit easier just so that everybody could finish it. I mean, just saying, this game has some options that are a little bit funny. Like, you can turn it on auto combo, where basically the game plays itself. Like in this gameplay right here, I am literally pressing one button and it's automatically switching weapons, juggling enemies in the air, and just destroying everything around me while I'm literally just sitting there. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing, because I think that we need to understand that they're trying to sell more copies of the game, and really they want people to see the story that they spent so many years working on. But what's weird is that people don't seem necessarily pissed off about that, so much as they're angry about weird things like, so there are these items in the game called yellow orbs that let you self-revive. Basically, they're usually these items that are hidden in the really hard to reach spots of the level, as a way of sort of rewarding you of, hey, congratulations, you managed to find this, and so now you get the added benefit of the second you die, you can come back. There's something that have been in the series before, but it's something that's always been this really special goal. These things that you sort of, they're like gold. You need to treat them with the utmost respect because they can really save your life, quite literally. Now, I think that them being more plentiful this time around is good. Honestly, I think it's really cool when I'm trying to fight a boss and I happen to get one shot or something. It's nice that I have this way of basically not being so stressed. I can really enjoy more of the boss fight if I'm not constantly just gripping my controller so tight I'm afraid I'm gonna crack it. I think that this game being slightly easier is a good choice in many regards, because it makes it where we get more of a chance to really kind of enjoy the combo system and the great stuff, and honestly the new character, which is funny enough one of the things that a lot of people are very, very upset about. So this new guy V, he's the main guy who's sort of just here to try and mix stuff up. Dante is back, Nero is back, but V, he's an all-new addition to the trio, and really His main thing is, well, the fact that he can actually remote control monsters. He has a puma and he has a hawk that actually let him control the elements. One sort of does basher damage, the other one shoots electricity. Both of them, though, are very, very strong, and because of it, you end up having him as a ranged fighter. You can really kind of sit back and just puppeteer these monsters to do all the combat for you. Now, this is a mechanic that I think is very, very fascinating. Honestly, I love just seeing a character that manages to change up the dynamics of a game in a sequel. It is really, really smart that they managed to make a guy that is so different, but still feel like he fits into the universe. But apparently, I'm one of the only people that thinks this, because people are mad. They are like legit pulling out their hair angry about the fact that doing combos with V is relatively easy. Since you're not actually taking the hits yourself, you're able to have your two separate monsters constantly pull people up in the air, juggle them, electrocute them, stun them in multiple different angles at once. And people are legitimately actually mad. Like, I've seen some people talk about returning the game because they think that V is too easy. Now, I just want to really spell this out. Not every game needs to be brutally tough. Not every game needs to kill you 800 times to be considered hard. There are a lot of different difficulties in Devil May Cry 5. You have a lot of different options for how tough you want this experience to be. You can play it on Human, which is like very, very easy. Demon Hunter, that's like normal. Son of Sparta, Heaven and Hell. I mean, there are a lot of different options in this game for tinkering with how tough you want it to be, and I don't think you need to really try and disparage the game itself if you're upset by how a certain fight is going. I mean, keep in mind, the developers tried to make this game super accessible. They want this game to be beaten and loved by the biggest population it can be, and clearly looking at its early success, it seems like it's off to a very good start. But right now, I mean, come on, you gotta just really kind of laugh about the fact that people are this mad about the game just trying to be simpler to newcomers. This is another thing I've seen a lot of people really butthurt about, is the fact that, I'll just say it, the bosses are easier this time around. They're a lot more straightforward, and they definitely seem like they have less health. Like, this is an early fight. I'm not spoiling anything here, but there's this lady who's basically like a giant angel, and she shoots out different laser beams, and one of the mechanics of it is that you need to be able to stun her little drones, grapple hook up there, and then smash her down to the ground. It is very cool. I mean, quite frankly, it is like an action movie on crack. I love it. I think that this fight is extra awesome, but it's hard to really get past it because it takes some practice. I mean, you actually need to go in there and be willing to die. You have to be willing to really kind of get your eggs scrambled a little bit, but that's nice. It's nice that you can kind of go in there and by trial and error and a little bit of experimentation, you get past this boss fight and you feel rewarded, but it doesn't feel unfair. The fight doesn't have an instant kill. The fight doesn't just immediately cram you against a wall. The boss doesn't have any sort of mechanic that just hits you over and over again in quick succession. It's something that manages to make it where once you've cracked the code of how to hurt her, boom, you win instantaneously. It feels great to just have that mental moment of unlocking the puzzle and being like, aha, I know how to kill you. And for some reason, that is the stuff that most specifically seems to be really ruffling some feathers. It's making it where people are like, no, the bosses need to be crazy. Because, I mean, let's face it, in the past, there have been some Devil May Cry bosses, especially in like stuff like Devil May Cry 3, that are brutal. They are insane. They are to the point in which they are borderline unfair, simply because they're trying to just make it where if you don't do every combo perfect and get every single dodge flawlessly, you're dead. They snap you like a twig, game over, start again. And what's weird is that even though this combat is so, well, in my opinion, unfun, the fan base got acclimated to that. They got used to this abusive level of treatment of making it where every single boss is so freaking nasty that since they adapted to that, a game that's more approachable to them seems pathetically easy. That is just a real quote that I saw a couple times, is pathetically easy. And I'm so against that. I just want to say, Devil May Cry community, you guys are awesome. You really enjoy these games. You really celebrate Dante and his journey. You don't need to just crap on the games for trying to be simplified. The hard difficulties are still there, and if you want, you can just try and avoid playing V as much as possible. There are times where you can actually pick the character you want, select Nero. You don't have to play easy mode if you don't want. You can just completely bypass that part of the game and let the newcomers enjoy it. I'm just saying that, yes, I'll admit, Devil May Cry is the easiest game in the franchise, but to me, that's not a bad thing. Personally, my favorite Dark Souls is Dark Souls 3, which is arguably the easiest game in the trilogy. Is that a negative? Absolutely not. Instead, it's just making it where the game is more accessible, more fun, and honestly, more laid back. Every game needs to have that entry that is a good jumping on point. And honestly, I think that Devil May Cry 5 is going to be the best selling game in the entire series and end up making it where when we eventually get Devil May Cry 6, you're going to have a much bigger fan base totally invested in loving this game. If you can't see that as a giant benefit to your own community, maybe just sit back and let other people have fun without trying to ruin their good time. Thanks so much for watching, gamers. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. One quote that I ended up not putting in this video was I saw a Steam review where this guy said, "I'm sick of these demons being as soft as oatmeal. I'm about to stir them grits." And I just want to say that's a great line. Okay, if you want to call demons oatmeal, well, enjoy your breakfast. Demon oatmeal. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, you know, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.